Perek Zayin, Mishnah Chet. We're going to have two halachot in our Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Hamakdish Karmo, Ad Shelo Nodu Olelot, Ein Olelot Laniyim. If I make my kerem hekdesh, if I give my vineyard to the Beit HaMikdash, so therefore there's no matnot aniyim, because if it belongs to God, to the Beit HaMikdash. So it says the Mishnah, Ad Shelo Nodu Olelot, if I made it hekdesh before the Olelot appeared. Remember, Olelot are the small little tiny clusters of grapes that don't have the shoulder and they don't have the bottom. So they're just tiny grapes. They're tiny clusters and they belong to the aniyim. So if I gave it to hekdesh before the formation of the Olelot, then Eino Olelot la'aniyim, because it became hekdesh and then the Olelot grew. The Olelot grew as part of what belonged to the hekdesh and not as part of what belonged to the aniyim. So therefore they don't get it. But Mishanodu bo Olelot, but if I made it hekdesh after the Olelot had already appeared on the vine, then Olelot la'aniyim. Why? The bartender explains, I only know go to them. Why? It's not yours. The field is mine, but the Olelot on the field are not mine. So therefore, the aniyim have the right to the Olelot before hekdesh can come take the rest. Rabbi Yosei says, Yitnu schar gidulin lehekdesh. From the time that I made it hekdesh until the time that the aniyim can come and take the Olelot, let's say the Olelot appeared, but then they grow and they grow and they grow. So these Olelot, they ripened and they increased in size and weight and whatever, while it belonged to the hekdesh. So says Rabbi Yossi, then the aniyim are benefiting from hekdesh, so therefore they have to pay the value of the gidulin, of that growth, to hekdesh, because you're not allowed to benefit from hekdesh, even the aniyim. So while the Olelot belonged to them, the growth of the Olelot was on the cheshbon of hekdesh. So therefore you have to pay hekdesh, and the Bartunera says, halachak Rabbi Yossi. We pass it like Rabbi Yossi, that the aniyim have to pay hekdesh for the extra value of the Olelot. Now we're going to turn to another different halacha, a second halacha in the Mishnah. It says the Mishnah, Ezu Shikechah be'aris. Now in order to understand this, we obviously have to know what's aris. Aris is a kind of vineyard. So let's look at the Bartunera for a second. Aris, kerem shagfanim shela mudalot al gabe klonsot ve'itzim. It seems like the way they explain it, it's a vineyard that's vines are hanging on beams or trees, on beams. Lashon af arsenu ranana. You can look it up in Shir HaShirim. Okay, so that's one of the explanations of the Rishonim, is that these are hanging vines. Now, this is the idea of aris appears in a number of different contexts. Let's look up the word aris in the Jastro. Aris is an arbor, an espalier of grapevines. So in order to understand that, you have to know what's an espalier, which Google says. A fruit tree whose branches are trained to grow flat against the wall, supported on a lattice or a framework of stakes. So why would you grow against the wall? So the answer really is because if you know the topography or the geography of Israel, you'll understand. Look at a regular vineyard. A regular vineyard, it's in the ground, and then you're building up a sort of kind of rope or a sense, like you make it a little bit higher than that, but then the vines grow along these ropes along the ground. But in Israel, as you well know, there's a lot of aris, there's a lot of, how should we say, not lattice work, but terraces. And because the terrain is so rocky and hilly, forget rocky, but it's hilly. If you've ever been to Gush Etzion, for example, much of Yehuda, much of the Shomron, it's all very, very hilly. So you can see, like everybody's familiar with these examples, that these vineyards, okay? So the point is, the aris, it's built up either against the wall, okay? And what happens is the following. So let's say I'm harvesting here, okay? So I forgot, or I left. So now we're talking about Shikechah. And I passed this vineyard, and I left it. So, but now I go on to the next one. I'm on the upper terrace, and then I look back and I say, oh, here, look, I can get down. Because it's on the terrace, the normal din of Shikechah, let's say my normal vineyard, if I go back to my normal vineyard, no, that's not the vineyard, my normal vineyard, I pass this one, I'm gone. I'm going to the next row. I can't go back to this row. But in our terrace, in our espalier, okay, when I finish this row, when I go along and I do my harvesting, I go on the next one, I look up down and I say, oh, there's more on the top there that I didn't see. Is that Shikechah or not? And that's the question of the Mishnah. Ezehu Shikechah ba'aris. Is it Shikechah once I've already passed? Says the Mishnah. Kol she'eno yachol lifshot et yadav v'litla. So that's exactly the point here. As long as if I'm walking on the upper level, sometimes or very often, I guess the way they would harvest was they would do the bottom level from the bottom, and then they would do the top level from the top. You're not allowed to. The pasuk says lo yashuv l'kachto. But if you intended to go on this level and to do this from the bottom and this from the top, that's not lo yashuv l'kachto. That's part of what you intentionally wanted to do. So therefore, the Mishnah says, as long as I can yachol lifshot et yado, extend your hand v'litla and take it, it's still not considered shikechah. It's not considered I'm going back. I think that's the general understanding of what it means. So that's not shikechah. Uba rogliot. What are rogliot? Says the Bar Tudura. Rogliot gefanim omdim al gabe karka shedorchim aleihem beregel. For whatever reason, I'm not entirely sure. They would sometimes grow vines along the ground. Here, the Jasper explains that they are roglot, are runners, grapes growing in a row on isolated vines. Okay, all plants in run, they form one bed. I don't know, whatever. Okay, these grapes. Then mishiavor himena. As long as you pass from them. We'll look at the Bartanur. It's Shikechah. The chol gefen v'gefen hariglot chashiva ki oman b'fnei atzmo v'asur lashuv mi oman le'oman. So I guess that's what it means. They were all in. The grapes were growing in one row, form one bed. Okay, that they're all in one row, and that there was an area on the ground where they would grow them. So as long as I passed from this patch, even if I could reach it, probably, even if I could reach it, if I was on the next patch, then it's lo yeshuv l'kachto, and you can't go back and get it. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact me, rspolter@gmail.com. I want to devote this learning again, the Zecher Nishmat Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman, my father. Have a great day.